human condition at its core hold a stark, undeniable truth that often lurks just beneath the surface of our daily lives. Existential isolation. This isn't the fleeting loneliness of a quiet evening or the temporary pang of missing a friend. It's a profound, inherent separateness that Irvin Yalom masterfully unpacks in his seminal works, particularly through the poignant narratives in Love's Executioner. We arrive in this world alone, utterly unique in our consciousness, and we will depart from it in the same solitary fashion. No matter how deeply we connect with others, how intertwined our lives become, there remains an unbridgeable chasm between one individual's subjective experience and another's. Our thoughts, our feelings, our very perceptions are uniquely our own, inaccessible in their rawest form to anyone else. This isn't a flaw in human design, nor is it a problem to be cured. Instead, it is a fundamental aspect of our existence, a foundational truth that Yalom argues we must confront rather than evade. The modern world, with its relentless push for connection through social media and constant communication, often serves as an elaborate distraction from this underlying reality. We are bombarded with images of togetherness, of shared experiences, creating a collective illusion that deep, pervasive loneliness is somehow abnormal or a personal failing. Yet, Yalom's work reminds us that even amidst the most vibrant crowd or within the most intimate relationship, the individual self remains ultimately distinct and alone. Consider, for instance, the many characters Yalom introduces in Love's Executioner, who grapple with this very issue. There's a patient who relentlessly pursues serial relationships, not for genuine connection, but as a desperate attempt to fill an internal void, a frantic flight from the terrifying echo of their own solitary existence. Each new partner is a temporary bandage over a wound that refuses to heal, a wound inflicted not by a lack of social interaction, but by the deeper realization that no one can truly walk in her shoes, feel their exact pain, or share their precise perspective. Yalom highlights how these frantic efforts to merge or disappear into another's life ultimately fail, leading to an even more profound sense of emptiness when the illusion inevitably shatters. The unbearable truth lies in the paradox. While we are social creatures hardwired for belonging, our individual consciousness remains forever separate. We make choices, experience emotions, and interpret the world through a singular lens. Even when we believe we are fully understood, a part of us remains inaccessible. This isn't to say that connection is futile. Quite the opposite. Understanding this inherent separateness, rather than fleeing from it, is the first crucial step towards forging more authentic and meaningful relationships. When we no longer demand that another person fill our existential void, we can connect with them as separate, whole beings, appreciating their unique existence even as we acknowledge our own. Yalom subtly guides us to see that the discomfort of this truth, though initially jarring, holds the potential for profound self-awareness and genuine human encounter. It's the moment we stop pretending we can truly merge with another that we can truly see them and ourselves for who we are, having confronted the raw, inherent truth of existential isolation. We naturally pivot to the complex and often paradoxical human endeavor, the dance of connection. If we are, at our core, alone in our consciousness, then how do we ever truly bridge the chasm to another? Yalom's profound insight, woven through narratives in Love's Executioner, is that understanding and even embracing our aloneness is not an impediment to connection, but rather its most fertile ground. Many, in a desperate flight from the discomfort of isolation, pursue relationships not as authentic encounters, but as attempts to merge, to escape the self, or to fill an inner void. This often leads to superficial, even destructive, bonds that ultimately exacerbate the very loneliness they seek to alleviate. Consider the vivid case studies Yalom presents. Individuals who cling to partners out of fear of being alone, fabricating elaborate fantasies about their relationships to avoid confronting the reality of their separate selves. One patient might be consumed by possessive love, seeing their partner not as an independent being, but as an extension of their own needs, a mere antidote to their inner emptiness. This dynamic, as Yalom illustrates, is a fragile facade. The moment the other person asserts their autonomy or fails to perfectly fulfill a projected role, the illusion shatters, leaving behind an even more acute sense of isolation and disappointment. The solace sought in this manner is fleeting, built on denial rather than genuine relating. Yalom subtly guides us to a more profound understanding. True intimacy blossoms when we dare to be vulnerable, sharing our deepest fears and acknowledging the other's independent existence rather than trying to consume or complete them. This requires a courageous act of self-revelation, not just presenting a curated version of ourselves, but exposing the very parts that feel most isolated or shameful. It's in this shared vulnerability, where two separate beings encounter each other with authenticity, that moments of profound connection emerge. The paradox is beautiful. By accepting our aloneness, we become capable of genuine relatedness. We no longer demand that another person complete us or erase our existential separateness, but rather appreciate their presence as a fellow traveler on a solitary journey. The therapist-patient relationship for Yalom serves as a powerful microcosm of this dance. In the therapeutic hour, the patient brings their deepest fears and a profound sense of aloneness into the room. The therapist, acknowledging their own human condition and inherent separateness, offers not a solution to isolation, but a safe space where it can be explored and held without judgment. It is in this shared yet distinct space that the patient can learn to bear their aloneness, to understand its contours, and to then, perhaps for the first time, reach out to others from a place of authenticity rather than desperation. The solace found isn't the eradication of isolation, but the profound comfort being truly seen and accepted, even in one's fundamental separateness. This dance of acknowledging aloneness while reaching for authentic connection is a lifelong endeavor, complex and often challenging, yet ultimately the path to truly enriching human relationships. Building on the foundation of our inherent isolation and the complex dance of connection, we now confront perhaps the most potent magnifier of our aloneness, the shadow of mortality. Irvin Yalom consistently positions the awareness of our own finite existence as one of the most profound existential anxieties, a truth that underscores and intensifies our fundamental separateness. Death is the ultimate solitary act. No matter how many loved ones surround us, no one can die our death for us. It is a journey we each must undertake alone. This realization, often suppressed or denied in the hustle of daily life, creates a deep-seated unease that colors our perceptions and drives many of our behaviors. Yalom's narratives and Love's executioner frequently bring patients face-to-face with their own mortality, often unexpectedly. He portrays individuals who have spent their lives building elaborate defenses against this awareness, through relentless work, superficial pleasures, or even fervent beliefs, only to find these defenses crumbling in moments of crisis or profound introspection. For instance, consider a patient who, after a sudden health scare, is forced to confront the fragility of their existence, the sheer terror of non-being. The stark reality that their unique consciousness will simply cease can bring an overwhelming sense of isolation. They might feel cut off from the living, even while still among them, as if they're already glimpsing the solitary void that awaits. This isn't just about losing loved ones. It's about the terrifying prospect of one's own disappearance, a truth that can only be faced alone. The denial of death, as Yalom illustrates, often leads to a life lived inauthentically. If we are constantly fleeing the Grim Reaper, we might avoid risks, postpone dreams, or cling to relationships out of fear rather than genuine desire. The individual who cannot acknowledge their own impending end might struggle to live fully in the present, always looking over their shoulder, never truly committing to the precious, finite moments of life. This avoidance ironically amplifies the feeling of aloneness, as it prevents the deep engagement with life and others that could otherwise provide solace and meaning. However, Yalom offers a transformative perspective. Confronting mortality can paradoxically lead to a richer appreciation of life and the fleeting moments of genuine connection we can forge. When we acknowledge that our time is limited, the value of each moment, each relationship, each experience takes on heightened significance. The awareness of death can act as a powerful catalyst for change, urging us to shed the superficial and embrace what truly matters. It can foster a sense of urgency to live authentically, to mend broken bridges, and to express love and gratitude to those around us. In accepting the solitary nature of our end, we become more present for the shared, finite journey of life. The shadow of mortality, though initially daunting, can thus illuminate the preciousness of our brief existence and profound beauty of the connections we are able to make, however temporary they may be. Having explored the inherent isolation and the magnifying lens of mortality, we now turn to another cornerstone of Yalom's existential framework, the burden of freedom. This isn't the exhilarating freedom of choice we often celebrate, but a deeper, more unsettling realization that meaning isn't inherently given. It's painstakingly created in a universe that, from an objective standpoint, holds no intrinsic purpose or preordained path. We, as conscious beings, are condemned to choose. This immense responsibility can feel profoundly isolating, for there is no divine blueprint or cosmic directive. Then we alone bear the weight of crafting our own values, determining our own direction, and living with the consequences. Yalom vividly illustrates this burden through patients who find themselves paralyzed by choice or who desperately seek external authorities to dictate their lives. He often encounters individuals who have lived their lives by the script of others, be it parents, societal expectations, or religious dogma, only to arrive at a therapeutic crossroads feeling profoundly empty and unfulfilled. They may have achieved what the world deems success, yet they carry a gnawing sense that they're living someone else's life, precisely because they abdicated their own freedom to choose. One might recall a patient who, despite a seemingly perfect career and family, experiences deep depression because they never truly selected their path, but instead drifted into it, guided by implicit pressures. The moment they realize this, the weight of their unexercised freedom descends upon them, magnifying their aloneness in the face of limitless possibilities and an absence of clear instructions. The burden arises from the absence of a pre-existing map. If there's no inherent purpose or absolute moral compass dictated by the universe, then every decision becomes a creation of value, a declaration of what matters. This can be terrifying. It means we are solely accountable for the lives we build, the meaning we find or fail to find, and the way we confront our own existence. The comfort of external guidelines, while seemingly liberating, actually serves as a powerful defense against this existential freedom, postponing the inevitable encounter with our own self-creation. However, Yalom's perspective, while unflinching, is ultimately empowering. He urges us to embrace this freedom, not as a curse, but as a unique human capacity. The challenge lies in moving beyond paralysis of choice to forge our own meaning and act in ways that resonate with our authentic selves, despite the inherent loneliness of that endeavor. This requires courage, the courage to define our own values, to make decisions even when the outcome is uncertain, and to take responsibility for our lives without external guarantees. It means accepting that there might not be a right answer, only the answer we choose to create for ourselves. In this act of self-authorship, we move from being passive recipients of life to active creators, even if this creative act is undertaken in ultimate solitude. The therapist's role, as Yalom portrays it, is not to tell the patient what to choose, but to help them confront the awesome reality of their freedom and to empower them to choose for themselves, however daunting that may initially feel. Having delved into profound truths of our inherent isolation, the shadow cast by mortality, and the often daunting burden of freedom, we arrive at what Irvin Yalom considers the ultimate gift. In confronting these existential realities, the therapeutic relationship itself. For Yalom, therapy is not about eradicating isolation or providing definitive answers to life's grand questions. Instead, it's about creating a unique and deeply human space where individuals can learn to bear their aloneness more constructively, to explore the abyss of their deepest fears, and paradoxically, to discover new ways of connecting that are rooted in authenticity rather than avoidance. The consulting room, in his view, becomes a crucible for growth, a microcosm of genuine human encounter. Yalom's approach diverges significantly from therapeutic models that focus solely on symptom reduction or behavioral modification. While these aspects may be addressed, the core of his work lies in helping patients confront the fundamental anxieties of existence. He brings this to life through numerous vignettes in Love's Executioner. Consider the patient who has built a lifetime of defenses against the fear of death, or the one paralyzed by the responsibility of their freedom. In the therapeutic setting, Yalom doesn't offer quick fixes or reassurances. Instead, he offers presence, empathy, and unwavering commitment to exploring these difficult truths alongside the patient. He might, for example, gently but persistently bring the conversation back to the patient's underlying anxiety about non-being, even when they try to deflect with more superficial concerns. This persistent focus, delivered with genuine care, models a way of facing uncomfortable realities. The therapeutic relationship itself becomes a primary agent of change. Yalom emphasizes that the here and now of the session, the immediate interactions, feelings, and dynamics between therapist and patient are paramount. It is in this shared, yet distinct, space that the patient can experiment with new ways of being. They learn to trust, to be vulnerable, and to reveal their deepest selves without fear or judgment, by witnessing and being witnessed. The patient seeing the therapist as a real human being grappling with their own existential givens, and the therapist truly seeing the patient in their complete, isolated humanity. A profound bond forms. This isn't a bond of merger, but one of mutual recognition and respect for each other's unique, separate existence. For instance, a patient grappling with the burden of freedom might initially seek the therapist's advice on what career to choose or how to live their life. Yalom's approach would be to resist giving prescriptive answers and instead help the patient explore their own anxieties around making a choice, the fear of living authentically, and the terror of ultimate responsibility. The gift lies in the therapist's willingness to sit with the patient in that uncertainty, to not rescue them, but to empower them to eventually make a choice that truly resonates with them. This process, though often uncomfortable, provides a unique experience of being deeply understood and supported. Even while grappling with their inherent aloneness, the patient learns that while they are ultimately alone in making their decisions, they are not alone in the struggle of facing their existence. It's a powerful lesson in human solidarity in the face of universal solitude. Having navigated the depths of existential isolation, the stark reality of mortality, the weighty burden of freedom, and the unique solace offered by the therapeutic encounter, we arrive at the culminating insight of Irvin Yalom's work, the transformative journey from despair to growth, by embracing isolation as a path to authenticity. This isn't a call for stoic resignation, but an invitation to find or found meaning and resilience precisely by confronting, rather than fleeing, the uncomfortable truths of our existence. Yalom consistently illustrates that the willingness to face these existential givens, death, freedom, isolation, and meaninglessness, is not an end in itself, but powerful catalyst for shedding illusions, cultivating profound self-awareness, and ultimately living a life more deeply aligned with one's true self. Many of Yalom's patients, as depicted in Love's Executioner, begin their therapeutic journey mired in a quiet despair, a sense of aimlessness, or a profound anxiety that stems from their unconscious avoidance of these fundamental truths. They might experience what feels like an unshakable emptiness, a pervasive sense of being lost, or a constant state of low-grade anxiety, all symptoms of life lived out of sync with their deeper existential realities. For instance, a patient might compulsively seek external validation or material possessions, attempting to fill a void that can only be addressed by an internal reckoning with their own aloneness and finite existence. This pursuit often leads to a cycle of temporary satisfaction followed by renewed emptiness, a continuous flight from the very self they need to embrace. Yalom's therapeutic process, therefore, isn't about eliminating these existential anxieties, but about helping patients turn towards them. By daring to look at the raw truth of human isolation, by acknowledging the inevitability of death, by accepting the responsibility of their freedom, and by understanding that meaning must be personally constructed, patients begin to dismantle the elaborate defenses that have kept them from truly living. This process is inherently uncomfortable. It requires courage and a willingness to sit with unsettling feelings. Yet, it is precisely in this confrontation that growth occurs. The transformation is often subtle but profound. As individuals shed their illusions and accept the inherent conditions of human existence, they become more authentic. They stop living according to others' expectations and begin to choose paths that resonate with their own values, even if those paths are unconventional or carry the inherent risk of personal responsibility. The despair stemming from a life of denial gradually gives way to a deeper, more grounded sense of self. They may find renewed purpose, forge more genuine relationships, as discussed in Topic 2, and appreciate the preciousness of their finite time, as discussed in Topic 3. The paradox is that by embracing their fundamental aloneness, they often find a deeper sense of connection to humanity as a whole, realizing that the struggle is universal. Yalom's ultimate message is one of hope and empowerment. While the journey through our existential truths is challenging and solitary, it is ultimately the path to cultivating a life of greater meaning, resilience, and genuine self-fulfillment. Ready to explore more of life's deepest questions? If Yalom's insights into isolation, mortality, and freedom resonated with you, imagine the transformative power of diving deeper. Subscribe to our channel now for more profound discussions that challenge your perspective and enrich your understanding of the human experience. Don't just observe life, engage with it. Hit that notification bell so you never miss an opportunity to connect with ideas that truly matter. Join our community and let's continue this journey of self-discovery together.